I'm Houston Van Hoy, and you recognize me as a club member. At this gathering of IT professionals, I think I can safely assume that most of us are familiar with the Internet. Don't raise your hand if you're not, but, well, MicroStrategy has been MicroStrategy has been around since about the time that Al Gore invented the Internet. I have used MicroStrategy software off and on during the past 15 years or so. Their local clients include Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Lowe's, Time Warner Cable, Premier, Sonic Automotive, Snyder Lance, and Family Dollar. But at CITPG meetings during the last year or two, I have had casual conversations where I mentioned MicroStrategy to fellow members only to be met with total non-awareness. So tonight we have an opportunity to learn about one of the top software companies in the enterprise business intelligence arena. Over the years, MicroStrategy has kept pace with the evolving IT marketplace by introducing reporting for mobile devices as well as other new products, which they will cover tonight. And I do hope that you will tonight perceive the potential for a career path in learning and using MicroStrategy products as report and dashboard developers, system engineers, consultants, and in other roles. It is not something that you fall into accidentally, so extensive online and classroom training is available for those who are called into this avenue of work. In fact, some of the introductory and online classes are available free of charge. We are fortunate to have a MicroStrategy office here in Charlotte. If you are currently looking for new and challenging employment, I urge you to talk with the representatives here tonight and look at their website. Sign up for the free online training. You can also receive, if you wish, email notifications of upcoming MicroStrategy events here and in other cities, online webinars, of course. I will now introduce our speakers. Matt Jackson is one of our first speaker. He's the MicroStrategy account executive. He'll be doing the first part of our presentation to introduce you to the company and its products. Afterwards, Chris Marcuse, senior sales engineer, will demonstrate MicroStrategy products. Also attending is Ernie Cavassini, Director of Professional Services, responsible for consulting and overall customer satisfaction. And they do have some goodies to give away, and they'll cover that. Now please welcome Matt Jackson.
So, is this on? Can you guys hear me okay? I like to move around when I present, so I want to make sure you guys can hear me. As you can see, I'm an Orioles fan. Hopefully no one will hold that against me. Let me just bring up. Don't be fooled. This is not a sales presentation. Just told that nobody in this room wants to be sold to today. So just to get started, my name is Matt Jackson. I am the account executive for MicroStrategy. I cover the Southeast, ranging from the Carolinas down through Tennessee, Mississippi. I've been with MicroStrategy for 6 years. I've worked actually in a couple different roles. I was in business development for 2 years, moved into alliances, where I ran a lot of the partnerships. So from being there, it's given me a little bit of knowledge about how MicroStrategy has grown as we continue to build our platform. Our latest version is 9.4.1. That's what Chris Marcozzi will be showing this evening. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give you an overview of MicroStrategy, who we are, kind of how we came to be, give you a little bit of understanding about some of our offerings, as well as some of the differentiators from us and the other BI vendors that are in the marketplace. First off, how many individuals have heard of MicroStrategy? All right, how many have used MicroStrategy? Excellent. So, just anyone want to share what are they currently using MicroStrategy, or has it been something that's been in the past? Recent past. Recent past. Okay. Was it here in Charlotte? At Harris Teeter. Excellent. Excellent. So Harris Teeter is a current customer of ours. Are you still with Harris Teeter? So are you still using the platform? Okay. So I'll just get into the slides. MicroStrategy is the largest independent business intelligence provider in the marketplace. We are a publicly traded company. We have not been purchased. We have not purchased any other additional software to build out our solution. We are a single unified architecture organically built out by MicroStrategy. The individual who's owner of the company still maintains, I think it's 51% or 55% of the organization. Michael Saylor, very, very hands-on, very forward thinker. One of the things that, even though that we say we are the largest BI vendor, we still can act as a boutique company because we do not have a large conglomerate over our heads. We have the ability to build out our software as our customers bring needs to our attention. And that's really where I think MicroStrategy sets itself apart. One of the big things I like to focus on in this slide is the 20% dedicated to R&D. MicroStrategy takes 20% of the revenue that we collect and we put it back into being innovative. With MicroStrategy having the single unified architecture, it really gives us the capability to continue to be innovative, build out platform and software offerings that our customers need. One of the big things that has come out recently, I think that everyone's really all the wow is cloud. MicroStrategy has the ability to actually put your business, your full infrastructure into a cloud that we host. Another area that MicroStrategy really was a front runner on was mobility. One of the largest focuses from CIOs is mobile. MicroStrategy being that we have a full business intelligence stack, we provide that via mobile or on site. Another area that I think that we've tackled very well is data discovery. I'm sure some of you, if you guys have worked, I mean, everyone's in IT, I'm sure everyone keeps up. Tableau, ClickView, two organizations that came out with quick data discovery. MicroStrategy, which you will see today with Visual Insight, has tackled that approach as well. So one of the things I did learn when I was at Alliance is I had the chance to work with a lot of our partners. Being that MicroStrategy is a pure BI stack, we have been able to maintain an agnostic view on the marketplace when it comes to databases. So most organizations, besides the Oracles of the world, actually not so true, but Oracle, but we've partnered and joined tight relationships with back-end data sources. That gives us the capability to go into an organization and not change the back end, but just complement the front end. So organizations like Teradata, Amazon Redshift, SAP, we've built out native capabilities to be able to connect to these data sources to provide best-of-breed reporting. So when we go into organizations, as I said, we don't go in to change the back end and restructure the entire infrastructure. We go in to complement it and improve the front end and reporting capabilities. This is just some views on MicroStrategy. It's important to see this just to better understand where we are viewed in the marketplace. We're 6 years running as a leader in the Magic Quadrant, which is a very notable trait of MicroStrategy. And I'm not going to go too much into this, but as you can see, definitely a leader in the marketplace when it comes to BI. One of the things I mentioned in the first slide is MicroStrategy's single unified architecture with a single unified metadata. It gives you the ability to build once and deploy across all. So as you build out your applications or your dashboards or your reports, you have the capability to build it once with our power users, with the Architect Suite, and deploy it across all facets of media, whether it being PDF, whether it being Office, whether it being mobile. There's no back-end coding that you have to do additionally to get to this goal. So that's one thing that MicroStrategy has strengthened itself by being able to provide this single unified platform for quick performance and scalable business intelligence. Again, don't want to go too much into this slide. It might be perceived as a sales slide, but we are ranked #1 in mobility. One of the things I did say in the first slide also is that we have the ability to be innovative. We are the largest independent BI vendor. We have the ability to be nimble. We have the ability to be innovative and focus on the platform. One of the things that we've noticed with some of the other mega vendors is that as they are absorbed by large data warehouse organizations, BI is a small niche. It's an important niche in a project, but it's a small niche. So the innovation and support sometimes doesn't come first string for the BI platform, but MicroStrategy has been able to make sure that we can continue to be innovative and provide an intuitive tool and a self-service model. I did discuss this before. This is one of the MicroStrategy offerings. MicroStrategy basically is broken down where you can have it by user basis, you can put it into CPU or a core-based model, or we actually have a cloud offering, and this is something that I discussed before. So we have two options with cloud. One is direct connect, where we basically will host your business intelligence, and we can direct connect into any of your data sources that you currently are utilizing. The other one is enterprise, and enterprise is where we actually host your total infrastructure, anywhere from ETL to your data warehouse to your business intelligence. This really goes for organizations that are growing, don't have the capacity to handle an infrastructure, or sometimes just don't have the resources to be able to support this. So the great thing about cloud is speed to market, lower total cost of ownership, and the capability to not have to do all the data modeling on the back end, which sometimes is tough to do as you're looking to build out a new business intelligence platform. The organizations that we partner with, as I discussed before, we've maintained an agnostic view, but we have formed great partnerships with specific data sources. One is Teradata, who I'm sure everyone's familiar with, Parexel, SQL Server, and then Informatica is the ETL tool. So this is all provided to you in the enterprise package. So you don't have to worry about going through a choice selection. We've actually worked with these organizations that we've built out tight integrations with to build out this cloud model. I'm going a little fast. Is there any questions currently? Okay. This is a chart just of some key customers that we work with. It just kind of, I like to show this because it shows that MicroStrategy is not just a niche-based tool. We supply complex reports across all verticals. Organizations that we've kind of established ourselves in is retail, financial services, pharmaceuticals are kind of our bread and butter. But we've been able to work with all types of organizations due to the customability of the platform. Basically, if you have a data source, we are able to connect. We are able to build out these reports and dashboards that are intuitive and a self-service model for the end users. How to get more involved with MicroStrategy. One of the things that Houston actually was talking about was the training center that we have. MicroStrategy has been able to really get creative in terms of being able to reach out and provide channels for individuals to learn about our product. The first one is Analytics Desktop. If you have not done already, you have the capability to download MicroStrategy and evaluate it free utilizing Analytics Desktop. You go directly to our website, and you actually have the option of downloading Analytics Desktop or MicroStrategy Express. That's even better. We're actually going to be passing out thumb drives with it on there, so you guys will have the ability to access it. I believe there's also demonstrations. Yep. Demos and also YouTube videos were basically our customer use cases that we've worked with. Another area, I discussed mobile. MicroStrategy mobile application. You can go directly to your iTunes on your smart device and download MicroStrategy mobile. This will give you a solid overview of our platform. It'll have the ability to see different applications we've built out for different customers. Analytics Express. Analytics Express is another option where it gives you the ability to look through our cloud option. It gives you the capability to build out reports, import, export, but you can see how our cloud model works. Another thing is I would be a point of contact. We do have, I think, about 4 account executives in the Charlotte region. Whether it be in your account, reach out to us. Please feel free to reach out to me after this with any questions. But we have Meetup Groups. We have free MicroStrategy workshops. I believe next week we're actually hosting an Intro to Business Intelligence class, which is free of charge. You basically sign up and you attend. I believe it's a 3-hour class. Oh, sorry, it's a full day class. So that's another way to get involved in MicroStrategy. Meetups. We actually have a meetup coming up on May 5th. It's going to be here in Charlotte. Please feel free to reach out or speak with one of us afterwards if you would like additional information. But a lot of this is on our website as well. So please, as you browse, definitely look up for meetups. Another area that you can do is you actually can view our applications. Download the Tilly's application. Download the Guest, two current large customers of MicroStrategy. You actually can see the application and work. So those are some areas that I wanted to go over just to kind of give you guys a level set of who MicroStrategy was. I wanted to kind of get through these quick. I understand we have a very large IT audience, so I'm sure you guys want to see the product and not listen to me speak. So as we transition over to, Chris, are you ready to go? Is there any questions from the material that I've covered that you guys would like to dig into? All right. Excuse me? Mm-mm. And a great thing about our meetup groups, I'm sorry.
Am I not loud enough? Get to the mic.
Get the microphone there, sir.
There. Now it's on. Now you can hear me. I'm Ernie Cavassini. We're all local, by the way. I don't know if you mentioned that. And I'm the professional services director. So the consultants and as Houston said, customer sat is my responsibility. But we have a quarterly user group meeting. The next one happens to be May 5th. It's being hosted by Wells Fargo. It's going to be at the new theater downtown. Night Theater, thank you. I got it. It's going to be hosted there. So just as an FYI, our office is in Ballantyne. That's where we have these classes. We have one next week. We have one May 6th. We have a mobile one, Intro to Mobile, right, where everybody actually develops an application on an iPad. That's in June 10th. Just go to our website. It's a whole lot easier. Yes, sir. It's all on the website, right. Just MicroStrategy.com. You can find everything about us, all kind of demos, etc., as well as the whole. That's where you sign up for the free classes. Absolutely. Anything else to clear up? Yes, sir. It's a great question, Miss Education.
But yeah, they're geared towards pretty much anyone who wants to learn a little bit more about business intelligence, about how it works as a platform. We have different versions of it, so, sorry. I forgot it's a little far away. I'm going to have to speak closer. We have different versions of the intro class, so there's one for just intro to business intelligence, so it gives you a good feel for how business intelligence works and how you would actually get into MicroStrategy. Yep. Thank you. I mean, that's all it took? Thank you. Okay, so that one is I think there's one being offered soon in Raleigh, just coming up. I'll have to look at the dates for it, but there's one in Raleigh coming up, and then there's one for mobile. So if you wanted to learn a little bit more about developing applications for the mobile device, what's nice in that we're going to cover it a little bit today is building a dashboard and building data into your business and doing the analytics side. You can become a professional in pretty much any aspect of business intelligence, whether it's reporting, dashboarding, or building even a dashboard app for the iPhone or for the iPad or Android. So we're going to talk about that a little bit more, but that's also another class that we offer. So it's an intro to BI. Again, it's a day-long class, and then there's developing business intelligence applications. So how to understand a little bit more about actually getting in and doing a little bit more development than the intro to BI class does. So it's intended for any audience. If you don't know anything about business intelligence, you're more than welcome to join. If you are evaluating it and just wanted to see more and learn more about it, it's for you as well. If you're experienced and you just want to get into maybe mobile, you're more than welcome to join the mobile class as well. So the audience varies within these classes. Okay. Yeah. So were there any other questions for Matt? He has to actually leave, so soon. Okay. Okay. So the one thing that I wanted to kind of talk about, and again, I'm not going to kill you with PowerPoint. I do have a full PowerPoint presentation if you're interested, but we're going to try to get into more of the actual, the product itself. So again, my name is Marcuzzi. I'm based out of Charlotte. I was in education for MicroStrategy for a few years until I moved over to the sales engineering role. So I've been working with customers and trying to define their business needs and evaluate the need for business intelligence and analytics. So in this presentation, we're going to talk about a few topics. We're an enterprise platform. So one thing that we want to make sure you understand is it's not just intended for one person to go off and use it for one report, or another person to go off and use it to bring in an Excel spreadsheet. It's the intent is you can use it for that, but the intent is, think about going golfing. Do you want a full set of clubs, or do you just want the 7-iron or a putter? You want the full set. That's what our platform gives you, is that full set. So we're going to talk about the different components of business intelligence and what we offer within the platform, from dashboarding to self-service analytics to getting to data, so multi-sourcing, getting to different data in different data sets and in different databases, including unstructured data, unmodeled data. So we'll take a look at how that works as well. And then we'll talk about, now that we've built these dashboards or reports, how do we then distribute it to other interfaces and other devices like mobile. So I'll actually show you one of our mobile apps within my iPad. We'll talk a little bit about integration. So if you do already have an existing system that you work, and let's say you're working with Salesforce.com and you want to be able to bring in data, or you have different platforms out there that you currently use and you're bringing in data from there and you want to do additional reporting and dashboarding, well, we have integration into that. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And then we'll talk lastly about just our cloud offering, and just Matt covered it a little bit, but we'll go into it just a little bit more in detail just to give you a better idea of it. So the platform itself, three main areas that we make sure that we like to talk about and make sure everyone understands that we're not just a platform, or we're not just a reporting tool. We offer multiple, you'll hear this, you've probably heard this a lot in the industry. There's big data analytics, there's self-service analytics, there's enterprise-wide business intelligence. Well, those are buzzwords and terminology that you'll hear throughout the industry that we offer as a platform. So we can cover every single thing from self-service. So that visual data discovery tool, you want to give your business users the ability to, without your interference, IT wants to take a step back, right? You want to build the foundation, and then let them build the reports and dashboards they need without you having to interfere. So self-service is one really important key component to the platform that we offer. Another one is that it's great that they can build these dashboards without any interference from you, but what about if I need a little bit more functionality? I need it to do a little bit more with selecting and digging deeper into the analytics side of it. Well, we have a full enterprise-grade business intelligence platform that they can work off of. So you can build those enterprise-grade reports and dashboards. You can build those KPI dashboards that are then pushed out to the mobile device, or pushed out to the web, or pushed into a portal. So we have that enterprise-grade business intelligence. And then we have the big data. So if you have data inside of Oracle, SQL Server, if you have data in Hadoop, or even Amazon Web Services, Redshift, any data out there we can access. We have access to it via ODBC drivers. We have access to it. You can even do a data import, things like that. So as long as you have a connector to it, we can get to the data. So that's why we offer the big data analytics. That's another buzzword that you'll see. You want to be able to access data that's larger in data sets and a lot more, the size is a little bit different, right? Okay, so it's that seamless integrated platform. Now, that platform is delivered via multiple interfaces. So we have different interfaces that you can access that data. So if you think about where your data comes from, it comes from across the enterprise. Right now, you may have silos of data, one that services your transactional system, one that they currently use for maybe reporting, maybe another one that you have your CRM data in, enterprise data, any data out there. That's data that you're going to get to via our platform. And then you can build your dashboards, your reports. So we have that push-down analytics capability. We have that in-memory cube acceleration. So even if you're accessing large amounts of data, we have a roll-up architecture that you can work with. So we have that high performance that you can leverage that data from across the enterprise. And then you can distribute that via a web interface, a portal, a mobile device. And we just have all of this ability to push out to the different interfaces. And you don't have to build it multiple times. So if you build that dashboard or that enterprise report, you just build it once and you can deploy it via different devices. So that platform is the one that we're going to take a look at. So let's get into the demo. Excuse me. So one component of this is, as I mentioned, the enterprise-grade business intelligence. So we want to be able to get to data within dashboards. So what we've done is we've pre-built some dashboards that you can get into. And I'm going to go to the home page of this. I am local. But, okay, I did get season tickets to the new baseball stadium, so. Okay, sorry about that. So this, what you're seeing right now, is actually our platform. What we've built and the demo that I've built this on, these are all dashboards inside of our platform. So you can build these pixel-perfect dashboards, and you can create links to other dashboards, other reports. So it's getting data from your multiple data sources and combining them together into that nice interface and that actual dashboard and report. So the first one that we're going to take a look at is the actual dashboard. And you can think of dashboards as the ability to take data, push it out to the web, to a mobile device, and then have all that information on a single screen. So all of your key performance indicators are on the screen. Now, it's not something that's just static in nature. I'm not just looking at a dashboard. Dashboards can be interactive. So I can go in and I can take a look and hover over the different data points to see additional information about it. I can link to another report here. This is an active link. I can even go into other dashboards and see the other dashboards within my within one single interface. So I just clicked on a link. It's going to run the data that goes behind this dashboard and then bring up additional visualization. So data doesn't have to be just in grid format anymore, right? You want to be able to take that visualization, put it into something that users can quickly and easily identify with and highlight trends in the data so they can not only just analyze it, but eventually act on that data. So in here, I'm looking at my map. I can click on a bubble. It'll actually update not only the bubble and show me the profitability of that bubble, but it'll also show me some additional information about these series. So I have electronics, books, and different categories. I can see who's performing quickly and easily, who's performing well, who's not performing well. If I want to get to the grid data, I can transfer it over to the grid format too. I can look at it in different visualizations. So if I want to see a chart, I can see that different areas are performing better than others. I can take a look at the different areas, click on it again, and these charts are interactive too. Another visualization, you've probably heard of heat maps. Heat maps are typically used for geographic boundaries. So geographic boundaries come up with actual concentrations. So if you're looking at something, you want to see something sized based on a value, and you want it color coded based on a value, right? So heat maps actually give you that information. So right now, anything that's a large rectangle, I know that the size is profit. So I have high profit for Baltimore, and then the color is what my actual. If I take a look at the information, it's the profit margin. Even though I have a lot of profit, my profit margin is low. So you want to take a look at something that's a large square but green, because that has a higher profitability. And that's just something that you can do with the analytics side. I can then click on one of my microcharts. So this is another visualization that we have up top. These are just microcharts that I can kind of click on it, and it'll update for Florida, New Hampshire. So you see the interactivity. I can drill down to the data a little bit better. I can analyze the data a little bit better, a lot quicker and a lot easier with different visualizations. So all of these go in to show you different ways of looking at the data. Another one that we have is Visual Insight, which is another product that we'll take a look at a little bit later. But this one is just a dashboard. This is something that does take a little bit more development. It's not a drag. It is a drag and drop interface to build it, but you have a lot more control over what goes where. So this is another, excuse me, another graph matrix. So I can see, the profitability this year versus last year for my different groups and fan satisfaction. So again, just different ways of visualizing the data and bringing in the data. So now I can look at the different segments within my dashboard. So it just gives you a good idea of building out dashboards, enterprise-grade dashboards, to actually bring in data from different data sets and from multiple data sets. It can be from a single source or it can be from multiple sources. All of these dashboards are running off reports that were predefined and pre-built. Those reports use data. That data can be imported, and that data can also be modeled. What that means is, if I model the data and I have 10 different dashboards with different business units using different dashboards, you have a unified view of the data. So they're not going out and building their own with their own data set. They're actually using a modeled view of the data to get to these dashboards. What's nice here is the interaction. Let's say I want to do a promotion because anyone who didn't have a high fan satisfaction rate, I want to be able to send them a promotion. So I can filter out. It's filtering out my data set and bringing in only those let's say I want to get rid of this age group and anyone under 24. So it filtered out my data set so that I can then take a look at those individuals. So now I have just those individuals by filtering it visually and interactively. I have all of those customers who rated us low in satisfaction. Now I can say, okay, send an email to me. I want this to be, priority 4. And I want to say send new promo. And I want this action to take place to contact the customer. And I hit submit. So these are things that you can do with what we call transaction services. So I not only analyze the data, I could also act on the data. So in this dashboard within web, I have that what we call transaction and transaction services. What this did is it wrote back to my data warehouse, submitted the request. It could trigger any kind of stored procedure. It could trigger any kind of mailing or anything that I have within my data warehouse. So that's transaction. So not only are you analyzing the data, but you're actually acting on the data. So any questions with dashboards or anything that we've seen right so far? Yep. Well, that's everything that you see on here is that if you feed it the data. So we can only report on the data that is given to us. So if you have economic trends, maybe you're getting from a website or you're getting from a web service, and then you want to blend that with your data, we can access that data. We have the ability to get to data via, freeform SQL. We can use web services, XML, so we can get to data from any source. As long as we have that data, we can report on it and then blend it together with your data. So if you do it by geography or if you do it by, by time, you can do that. Yep. Yep. So we have a couple of options. We do have a visualization. So anything that you see, that microchart widget, that heat map, those are what we call visualizations. They're essentially widgets that you configure. So that visualization is something that we offer out of the box with Esri Maps. If anyone's familiar with ESRI, they're one of the mapping providers. And we have in our new and latest release, you can bring in states, you can bring in cities, you can bring in zip codes. So you can bring in boundary data or you can bring in point data that's already been geocoded. And the point data has to be geocoded for us to actually, map it. But if you store that value inside of your data warehouse, we can map it easily because we have the two options, either based on point or based on, it can even be a spatial point. So if you have Esri if you have the spatial component installed on SQL Server or Oracle, and it actually stores that spatial object, we can even bring that in too. Now, out of the box, you can do that. What you can do with, there's an enhancement. We have add-ons that you can bring in and use those to actually even do more with it. So you can even do geocoding on the fly inside of MicroStrategy if that's what you choose to do, but it does require some customization and working with Esri to perform that. But that's one of the options. The other option, we do currently support Google Maps as well. So if you want to use Google Maps, you do need a license key for it, and that's something that you would obtain from them. And then once you have that, you just kind of configure the mapping component to use Google Maps as well. You can even have it do both at the same time. So any other questions on dashboards before we get into self-service? Okay, so that was a dashboard. Those are pre-built. We have self-service. So that visual data discovery has become so important, such a key component to any kind of analytics platform. I mean, I could give you just this, and you would probably be happy, but what about everything else? I want to be able to access data from everywhere. So how do I access data everywhere? That's through our visual data discovery tool called Visual Insight. I clicked on the second one instead of the first one, but it's okay. So this one actually lets you do mapping too. So even out of the box, our visual data discovery tool does mapping. It lets you create these, what we call visualizations, but these are actual layouts and analysis within an actual layout in which you have a drag and drop interface. So if I look at this, I right now have 2 data set objects sourcing this dashboard, this VI analysis. You can bring in one data set, you can bring in multiple data sets, and it'll do what we call data blending. So if you have a common attribute on the 2 data sets, it'll say, okay, notice this little blue link. It says, oh, okay, you have state within this data set as well as supplier. So this is where I'm getting the join. So it's doing data blending on the fly. I can force it and link it to what I need to if it doesn't do it, or if I need it to link to something else and it doesn't recognize it, I can force it as well. But these, when you bring them in, you actually can use this report now within any of visualizations that you have. So this one just shows different layouts. So if I use the different tools, so this is the actual, mouse click selection. We can do a rectangle selection. It'll update my visualization on the right, so it filters it out based on interactively selecting those objects. I can do that with a point selector, so if I'm interested in one single point because it's my biggest bubble, I want to take a look at the KPIs for that and narrow down that. If I look at category, let's say I just want to see books. I can keep this only, and I only have books now, and I want to look at, there's literature is really low, so I want to drill to, first I'll keep it, just literature, and then maybe I drill to another level down. So I look at the item level for just literature. So I can see which ones are underperforming. I can sort this quickly by profitability, if I want it in descending order. So I can sort based on, ascending order. So anything red, I notice that maybe that should be a discontinued item. What is the profitability index of that? So potentially I take this data, and I can even select multiple items. So I take these 4, and I say, you know what, I want to take this, and I want to show my data for that. Oops. Let me just grab those. So let's say I just show data. So that's the data for only those that I've selected. Now I can export this. I can save this as another report. I can add additional information to this data. If I have additional data set objects that I could add to it, I can add to it on the fly and then export it. So it lets you interactively get to the root of the problem with these visualizations. Now what's nice about these, I'm going to go back into Discover. Actually, you know what? Since we've already, this just shows additional layouts. We've seen quite a few layouts, right? These are a lot of different visualizations out of the box. There's over, there's 14 or 15 visualizations, and then there are subcategories for each visualization. So graph matrix, heat map, maps, different line charts, pie charts. So this just goes through the different visualizations that you have access to that you can then interact with. Again, these are all interactive. If I want to do the same thing here, I can do that same selection and keep only. I can have multiple panels on here. And what's nice is I can actually interactively filter. And because I have a lot of different layouts, this filter that I perform is simply going to apply to this selected layout. So for each layout that I build, I can have independent filters on a layout by layout basis. So if I say, I want to filter and I only want to show movies and music, I can do that just by unchecking it. But I notice that if I go to layout number, the next layout, it's totally different. The filters that I'm showing are different. So I can turn filters on or off. I can add different filters. I can display them differently once I have them once I have them turned on. So this one's just showing books. Maybe I want it to show electronics. So this layout is not impacted by any filtering that I do on the additional layouts. Let's say I want to do something like create a metric on the fly. I want in our world, and I should take a step back. What you're seeing within this data set. Two of the primary components that drive the reporting, attributes and metrics in our world. So attributes provide the description. So that's the electronics, so the category attribute, electronics, books, movies. The metric is the business value that you want to analyze. So is it profit, profit margin? What's important? What's your KPI, right? That's the metric. So all these dashboards are based off of KPIs and they're based off of attributes. So without description, the dollar value means nothing, right? Or the KPI means nothing. That key performance indicator won't give us any information without any kind of description. Excuse me. So let's say in this case, I want to build something on the fly. I want to see what the actual profit is, but how much each subcategory contributes to that movie category. So I can actually create this metric on the fly. So for profit, I can create a new metric. We have over 300 functions you can use. Over 300. So the analytics and the predictive modeling that we offer is unparalleled within a lot of the a lot of the dashboards, a lot of the reports. You can incorporate predictive modeling in here, regression analysis. We have the ability to let you bring in our models. So we have that predictive side, and we also have that functions that you can use. We even allow you to do pass-through functions. So if you have something on your data warehouse that we don't support and you want to run it and you want to see that, that data value, you can go through and go to your database to perform that calculation for the actual metric calculation. But let's say I want to bring in a percent to total, and I want it based on category. So that's telling me for all the categories how much each one contributes to that category. What is the profit contribution to that to all the categories? So if I had all categories on here, the total, which you can add very quickly and easily, I can add totals to this. So you can add totals to the different levels. So if I add totals to here, and then I add totals in here, you can do that on the fly. So if I go and scroll down to the bottom, I see all my different totals for the different categories and the different metrics that are on my report. So this is just on the fly things that you can do within this actual visual insight tool. So it's something that lets you do that visual data discovery. This is one component that you'll begin to love as an IT specialist because you won't have to do anything. Once you model the data and you get everything up and running, you give them the ability to use this interface. This interface does not require an application to be installed. I'm doing this through a web browser. The current version supports Flash only. In our new release, we will have HTML5 available. So it's going to be something that you don't necessarily need Flash. Right now, for this platform, for this release, you do need to support Flash in your browser, but that's it. That's all you need to support. So that is the visual data discovery tool. The other component to this, and this is something that I want to bring in additional data. What time is the break? I just don't want to go. What time? Okay. Yeah, I can break. I'll go in and show the data blending in a minute. So we'll take a break. Okay, no more. No, I'm just kidding. We'll do 15, and we'll get started again. Okay, so Analytics Desktop, that visual insight tool that I'm showing you right now, the data discovery tool, that is Analytics Desktop. And so you can install it on your local machine. Now, you'll be able to access data, either data that you can import. So if you have Excel spreadsheets or if you have any flat files, you can import that data in. I'm going to show you that really quick, just so that you get a feel for bringing additional data sets in. So what you've seen to date, that's all modeled. So that's all data that was modeled in our data warehouse. This is something that you can actually then, let's say you have data that you got from someone sent you or emailed you an Excel spreadsheet. That data is something that you may want to report on, or you may want to blend it with your data that's modeled in your data warehouse and within our platform. You can do that by what we call blending the data. And I showed you that little blue link. That's essentially what does happen. So this is that visual insight interface. And here you have your data set objects. So I can just drop down and say, I'm going to add a database. Now, because I'm using the full platform, I could not only import a file, but I could also get to data from any database that we've modeled within our architecture, within our actual system. So I can go to a database, I can import a file, I can select an existing data set. So if I have reports that I've already built, and this is essentially, let me go back. This is the web-based interface, just to give you an idea. This web-based interface, I have reports, keeps on, here that I've built. So there are reports in here. These are dashboards. Here are data sets, which we call reports. So these are all grid reports. So these were built based off of the model data. And these reports actually feed into dashboards and to documents. So dashboards and documents is just a free-form formatted way of building a visual interface to your actual data. So instead of just grids and graphs, you have the ability to create that dashboard that we saw earlier with the fan performance and fan satisfaction. So that dashboard is something that was built based off of a single report or multiple reports that I've already modeled in my data warehouse and from my data warehouse. So what we're doing now is using one report that's already been modeled So this report that we see right now, it's already been modeled, and that modeled data I'm viewing here. So now I have an Excel spreadsheet I want to blend together with it and analyze it together. So I'm going to go ahead and add a data set, and I'm going to import that file. And the file, again, can be any flat file, CSV, and Excel, excuse me. You can get to data that's hosted as well. But I'm going to go into my data. So I have this regional analysis data set. I'm going to open that up. So I'm just going to open that Excel spreadsheet. What it does, it's reading the data, it's looking at the spreadsheet. If you have multiple spreadsheets, you can only bring in one spreadsheet at a time, but you can do this multiple times if you had 2 or 3 spreadsheets that you wanted to bring in. But this will only let you bring in one spreadsheet at a time. You can bring in tabular or cross-tabular data. And what it does is it reads it, it tries its best guess to figure out what is it that you're bringing in. Is it an attribute or a metric? So as I mentioned before, attributes the descriptive data, and then metrics is the actual numeric data, that business measure you want to analyze. So it took a look and it say, hey, you have state, you have year ID. I can either tell it do not import it or go ahead and import it. Now month, if it doesn't define it correctly, I can switch it either to an attribute or metric. State is an actual attribute that it recognizes. Notice that little white bubble next to the icon for the little yellow cube. That's our representation for an attribute. Well, the little white bubble next to it indicates that it recognized it as a geographic attribute. Because it did, I can actually create higher level attributes for that on the fly. So if I brought in zip code, I could create state on the fly, or I could create country on the fly. This one, I can only create country because above state for our hierarchy and for what we can build, only country is available. But I can do that on the fly. Same with time-based dimensions. If it's a time-based, a date, so if it's a date formatted dimension attribute, it can create higher level time-based attributes for you on the fly as well. So if I brought in a day level attribute, I could tell it to create a week level attribute. I could also tell it to create a quarter or a month or a year attribute. I can have it do it on the fly. So that's another nice component about importing data and using visual insight. So this is just one of the headers that had, so I'm going to tell it not to import metric. Profit, unit sold, recognize it. as an actual metric, so I'm going to go ahead and click Continue. And what it does is it's creating a cube of data on our server. So I'm just going to leave it as Regional Analysis Excel. That cube of data, you can do that for data that's imported. It'll create that cube of data. If you have large data sets that you're working with in your modeled data warehouse, you can actually create a cube out of modeled data as well and then run reports and dashboards off of that. That's strictly for performance, so that you want that speed. You don't want the user to have to wait. If they're accessing thousands of rows of data, how long do you want them to wait? Do you want them to be able to have a modeled data set and then put it into a cube of data so that the reports can run off the cube? So that roll-up architecture lets you do that, in-memory manipulation and analysis of data. So what it did also, notice the link. This data set linked to my actual month attribute. If I don't want it to link, I can say unlink. Same with the year. That linked back to my first data set that I had in here. So based on year and month, I can now bring in additional data from this other data set. The first data set, 14, only had revenue, but now that I've imported another file and it has a common attribute, I can bring in information at the profit, and I can bring in units sold, and take a look at the data for profit and units sold as well. So you can bring in data from additional data sets. I can create visualizations out of this. I can create a map out of it. If I wanted to use state as a map attribute, these are just different ways that you can create the visualization. So if I want to change it, I can say, I'm going to change this and I'm going to create a heat map. So based on year, I can see the months broken out. I don't like the color that it's using, so I'm going to pick my favorite. A little bit more color to it. So the size is profit and the color is percent of revenue. So I can create that visualization and I can add another visualization to this. So maybe I want to insert another visualization. I can add either grid, graph, map. We'll do graph. And on here I can put anything on this graph. So maybe I want to see by state. I want to see it broken out by year. And I want to color it by profit. So I can see the different states and color it by profit. Maybe I want to use a different object. Maybe instead I'll bring in month as well. And I want to change it so that this is underneath. So I can kind of drag and drop this. And then I can change the object that it's using. So instead of the, wrong one. Instead of using circles, maybe I want to use squares. So you can create these visualizations pretty quickly and easily, and then I can see anything with a dark blue has a higher percent of the profit. So this visualization I built in 30 seconds or less, right? So the visual data discovery is something that you can do. I can also have it drive my data below. So let's do this. I'll put this underneath. And let's say I want to be able to select a month, and I want it to filter out the months here. So I can say, I want this to use it as a filter, and I want to filter my graph. So if I click on a month, it'll just show that month. So I can click on it again, and it brings all of them back. So this is something that you can do quickly and easily and build this visualization. Relatively easy, right? So now when I save this, I have my self-service saved. I can go over to my iPad now. So this is where we're going to go out to different interfaces. So we've seen the reports, we've seen the dashboards, we've seen different ways you can access these dashboards within web. Let's take a look at, we'll go into my iPad. So any questions on the data blending? Okay, we go home. Let's cross your fingers that this mirroring works. There we go. There's always hit or miss on this. Not that I don't like free air server. It was actually only... So let's say you have one in decimal format. There's compatibility rules for data types. So if you are going to use the multi-sourcing to get data from multiple data sources, and let's say it has to blend that data together, but this is something that you would do in the back end, not within Visual Insight. Visual Insight's a little bit different because you're bringing in data and it's only going to be an attribute or metric, and the data type, it reads from whatever you have on the Excel file. You can change the data type here, so, or the formatting actually, not the data type, but you can change the formatting. Let me make sure. So I can change the formatting here, so if I didn't want it to be currency, I can change it on the fly to whatever data type I need it to be. If you're actually modeling it, there are some rules that we have, and it's what we call duplicate table support. So if you have multiple data types that you're bringing in and it's technically the same field, you have to meet those compatibility rules. Yep. Permissioning. Mm-hmm.
Sales to be available to anyone who uses the tool.
Yep.
Not only, the executive,
Yeah, so we have different levels of security that you can implement. The first is getting into the application. Do you want them to get into the project that you've built? The second is data level. So we can do single sign-on, we can do database, database connection mapping. So if you know that there's certain data that they shouldn't access and you already have that defined in a database, you can do it that way. We also have other layers that you can implement. Let's say you don't use database mapping, you just use Windows single sign-on and there's nothing mapped to the database to tell you what they can or can't access. You can do security filters and security roles. So that will be something that you implement within the project and based on a user or group. So if you have your accountants and they can access data from the, the financial ERP, but then your sales associates, you don't want them getting into that data. Well, you would have different projects set up, and then you'd set the security up for them using either groups or users. If there's one user that can see it all, so your executive and your CEO, your CFO can see everything, but anyone below, we want to make sure that level is set. You can set permissions based on what they can access within the project. You can also set up security filters. So if I'm the Northeast manager, I would have a security filter implemented on my user saying that I can only see data for the Northeast. And that would be appended to the SQL. The user will never see it. They can never modify it. They can't touch it.
Now, when you say groups, you're talking about groups.
Well, we have our own groups that we define within MicroStrategy. So that is specific to features and functionality within the application. So I can be an architect. So that means I can build that schema layer, that foundational layer that I need in order to feed my reports. If I'm a report developer, I can't get to the schema layer, but I can get to the layer of report development. So we have groups defined in there. If you do have users you want to bring in, we have different ways that you can import those in. So if you have Windows, you can connect it to the Windows environment and you can get user lists from that as well. So there are different ways you can bring existing users in and then assign them to a group. Yep. Okay. It was showing, wasn't it? And I think it's gone now. Let me see. Let me see if I can mirror that. So it came up. There we go. Okay. So my iPad. So the demo that we were just looking at is based off of what we call Chameleon. And this is the actual platform. So this is what you saw in web. It's now on my iPad. So I have that self-service data discovery. I can look at the map. So this is the same interface that we saw on web, but now I'm looking at it within my mobile device. The way you interact with it is a little bit different with gestures, swipes, slides, things like that, but you can still do your same selections, updating data. You can go into the different layouts. So I can swipe to different layouts, look at different visualizations, interact with them, change what I'm seeing. This is a network visualization. I can, let's say I'm looking at Erie, so I can click on it and select it. It updates my selection. So again, this is what we saw earlier, but now I'm actually in my mobile platform and my mobile device. You can also do those transactions that we were working with earlier. I just have to... Trying to click to the layout. Picked the wrong one. Oh, I remember. Sorry. Go back home. Okay, so this is the actual interface that you would use on the mobile platform. We do have a mobile server. The only thing it would need is a configuration file. What's nice about the actual app that you're seeing right now, it is not going through a web browser. It's a native iOS app. So we've actually created this configuration file that works in the actual OS of the device. So we're not working with a web browser. We're not working with anything else outside of an actual app within this application. So I'm trying to think of where I put that software. The one that we just created. Oh, there, okay, blend, sorry. So this is what we just created just a minute ago. I didn't have to publish it. I didn't have to do anything. It's available immediately on my device. So this is something that's nice. You build it once, deploy it anywhere, right? We can do transactions. We can view dashboards. We have, this interactive layout that I can move things around. This is something that is on my device now, and I can play around with my VI dashboards. I can play around with my actual dashboards, my enterprise reports. We also have the pixel perfect enterprise reports that you can look at, and these can be available within, web, within the actual device itself. So this is an enterprise report. It's a pixel perfect formatting. It has grouping instead, so I can change my group. There's an interactive link here, so if I click on the actual link, I can link everything together, my dashboards, my VI, to my enterprise reports. That can all be linked together. And I can analyze that data either on my web interface, I can view it here within my mobile device, I can go into you always pick the wrong one first. I can actually go in and send it to a portal too. So I have the ability to integrate MicroStrategy. Not only, you don't need our interface to get to this data. All you need is the actual capability to access the actual reports or dashboards, right? So this is a portal integration. So inside of MicroStrategy's website, we just put a report, and I have that, it's a VI analysis. So it's actually inside of a portal now within our web browser. So SharePoint, Salesforce.com, all of that data, their dashboarding isn't great in Salesforce.com, so maybe you want to be able to bring our dashboards in and use the data from Salesforce.com along in conjunction with data from your data warehouse. So we do have that integration capability as well. So the way that this comes all together, so we've taken a look at quite a few things, right? We've looked at the platform, we've looked at Enterprise BI, looked at the dashboards, the enterprise reports. We took a look at the self-service side, so visual insight, how to get data in that visual data discovery, how to import data, blend data, use multi-sourcing to source that visual insight dashboard. We took a look at mobile. We got into mobile, saw the actual same dashboards in our mobile device, and then the integration. You are not limited to our interface. And the key takeaway from that is you can integrate into things like IBM WebSphere, SharePoint, Oracle WebLogic. So these are just different ways that you can integrate integrate our dashboarding and our reporting into different portals. So the last part that I just wanted to mention, so any questions on the visual insight, the data blending, the importing the Excel spreadsheets, taking a look at the quick integration. We do have a fully customizable interface. We have a full API that we support, so we do have the SDK that lets you do the customizations if you need to. And it's based on what you want to customize. Either it'll be mobile or it'll be web interface, or maybe you want just the portal integration or security. You want to customize your security. We have an SDK for that as well. Okay, so then the last component I just want to talk about is cloud. So I know Matt mentioned it briefly, but cloud is a new way. If you don't want to take your resources and say, okay, I need now somewhere to put my data, I need somewhere to put the application, so I need an application server, I need a web server, maybe I need a mobile server. We have an offering for cloud. Traditional implementations can be lengthy. It could take 6 months to a year to do any kind of implementation, taking a look at your data, getting your data in, modeling the data, and then hosting it and getting everything up and running, making sure your memory's okay, making sure you can handle the amount of data that you're actually pushing into the application. Well, that implementation has been minimized with cloud. So we on average, our delivery is 3.5 weeks. We take a look at your business, we take a look at your data structures, we define the requirements, we go through the cloud agreement, we build the application, and then test and deploy, all within 3.5 weeks. So it's a lot faster to deploy, lower risk for you, lower cost for you, in order to get your data up and running and into a BI solution and into an enterprise platform to do the reporting and analytics that you just saw. So you'd be able to serve up this in 3.5 weeks. So it accelerates your time to market. Again, he showed you these options. If you just wanted to host the BI and you can host your own data, we have that hybrid. If you want to give us and we can host your data for you, so you take things from your transactional system, you extract it, transform it, we'll do the ETL process, put it into a data warehouse, model it, and host the data for you, and host the application. So there's a couple of different options you have. So if security on your data is an issue and you aren't sure and you don't know about our governance, we do have security white paper. We have information that we can connect you with the cloud team. So any of the concerns that you have, we can kind of work through those with you. But yeah, we can host just the BI part, or we can host both. So we can do, or you can take the whole thing on-prem. You can host everything, right? But the cloud offering is to accelerate your time to market. No. It's all dedicated, and it's in the cloud. The machines are set up so that you'll get a dedicated data warehouse. You're not going to share data with other systems that are out there and other implementations. We have a lot of customers that have moved to the cloud, because even if you do on-premise work and you do bring it in-house, upgrading, doing all the upgrades, maintaining the releases, we have a couple that happen a year. Those anything that you do, a hot fix that comes out, which could fix one part of the map, or a new release that comes out within the year. That's all things that we manage within the cloud. And the data, we can access data from multiple sources, so no data is left behind is our motto. We can get to Netezza, Teradata, SQL Server, Informatica, any data warehouse that you have. We have a whole list of supported data warehouses for your business data. So with that delivery model, we do ensure security, performance, and reliability. It's something that we do, and some certifications for certain industries. We are working on certain certifications within the industry. We do HIPAA, ISO, SOC. Everything is something that, everything when it comes to security, we've actually looked into, and we are working on implementing. 90% of it's in there. There's one, I think, certification when it comes to CRA compliance that they're still looking at. but the certification and controls are in there. We do have the architecture, we have the encryption. Even if you're using a mobile device, again, we're native to the iOS, especially from iPad and iPhones. We're a native app, so we leverage the security model. Hopefully everyone downloaded the new one. we leverage what they have within their iOS. The technology, we do use a 64-bit architecture. We have the in-memory capabilities. We have another platform called Prime that the data that you can access is limitless. It's in the, I don't even know what I would refer to, but it's limitless. The amount of data that we can access and host is within what we call a new product called Prime. We do have that reliability, so we have the 24/7 support, 365 days a year. Again, we have that upgrade and patch. We tell you when the release is happening so you know and you're aware and notified. We have incident management, and just worldwide, we have support worldwide. So we're in over 22 countries, 23 countries. Okay, so with that, just as a summary, we are a comprehensive analytics platform. Again, we do provide you the ability to do the enterprise-grade business intelligence, the self-service analytics, and the big data analytics. So with that, I'm going to open it up to questions. Sorry. So it was asked what our actual backend, our developer tool and the intelligence server, what language it was written in, and it's in C, so it's still based off of C. The customizations, the SDK, we support .NET, we support the Java, so we can do customizations. There's different portal integrations that we support, so when it comes to customizing it, we do have specific languages that we support depending on what component you want to customize. So, any questions? Yep. We do. Sorry, I didn't even mention that. We do have support for Android. We do have an app. So if you do want to test out the actual app, we do have an app for the iPhone and iPad. You just go to the App Store and you Google. You go to the App Store and you search for, and you Google, and you search for MicroStrategy, and you can even install both those on your system. But for the Android, yeah, we do have an app for the Android as well. So there's one available in their store. Blackberry, we were supporting. That's one thing that I don't know how much more support is going to be for the Blackberry, but there is support for it currently. So we do have an integration for an app for Blackberry. No. Right now, I don't know how far along they are into their support of. I'd have to get back to you on that. But right now, not on the tablets. You can access it via the web browser, so you can do the traditional reporting via the browser. But as far as a native app for the tablets and for the phone, currently we do not have one. Maybe Ernie has a little bit more information on it.
Again, I thought I could streamline it. Our development's response to that is as soon as a customer asks for it, we can deliver it. There really has not been in the marketplace anybody still with Windows phones. And if you read, our founder and our chairman, he says there's only room for two, and that's really iOS and Android. Of course, that's his opinion, but he's the boss, and I'll tell you what, 9 times out of 10, he's been right. He started this company, and we hit, and I'll use the term, the mobile wave before a lot of other folks, because he saw that years ago. And I say it that way because he actually wrote a book called The Mobile Wave. We are in other areas we didn't even get into that talks about mobile identification and security and all those things that are new ways that he's looking at things. But anyhow, the short answer is we're not opposed to it. That's not his favorite, but our developers just say, if a major corporation said we're going to deploy it, we could do it.
Okay. So everything that you build in other business intelligence software, you'll probably hear of Universe or just different ways of referring to building something specific to a business unit. Well, we refer to them as projects. So if I have 5 different departments that I'm supporting, I could have a single project and just put security on the different data that I need. Or I could have 5 different projects, and those projects are specific to that business unit. So it's just it just encapsulates the data model, so that schema layer that you're creating, and then it also takes in all the reports and dashboards and documents that you build that's specific to a project. So that could be for a business unit, or as I mentioned, you can actually create one for multiple business units, just implement security. Yep. So, I mean, we have several out in the marketplace. Do you have that vendor scorecard? So, ones that we hear a lot and are compared to a lot, we see Business Objects, Cognos. Oracle has one as well. From a visual data discovery tool, we see Tableau, ClickView. Those are definite competitors in the market. More from a platform side, though, ClickView, Tableaus of the world, they don't really have a platform. They don't have a platform. They're very siloed within a business unit, but within platforms, you would want to probably look at something like Business Objects or Cognos, Oracle. We have our own cloud platforms, but we can access data. So if you have data in Amazon Web Services, if you have it in Redshift, we can get to that data. So we have connectors to get to that data. Same thing with Hadoop and the big data vendors that you'll see out there lately. Any MapReduce databases, as long as we can access it and build the connectors to it with, Hadoop, we have Hive and Pig, and then there's a new one that's coming out. But those are all ways that we can access the data. So if the data's out there, we can get to it, as long as we have a connector to it. Yep. Yeah, because we can connect to that data. We don't need to host your data for you. We can connect to that data, because I think they have multiple ways that they store the data, and one of them is Redshift. There's a couple of other ones, probably a few of them. It's company dependent what they decide they want to pick when they go with web services from Amazon, but that's data that we can access because we do have the built-in connectors to it. We have a driver for it, so it's like configuring a JDBC and ODBC driver to the data. So any other questions? Yep. Mm-hmm. So depending on how much data you're bringing back, you can use a couple of different methodologies. Sorry. I'm like, all right, fine. You can implement a couple of different methodologies behind it. So we do allow caching of reports and documents. So that would be cached on our server, or your intelligence server, either on-prem or within our cloud. So we can cache those. If you have reports that are accessed frequently, and those reports feed into a document, well, cache the reports that feed into the document. The documents can be faster, right? So we enable caching of the documents, of the reports, and cubes. and cubes. So you can also use the cube architecture. So we have that in-memory cube that you can build based off of the model data, and that's something that you can then schedule. So let's say you do a data dump nightly. Well, have the cube refresh nightly as well and get the current data. And that cube is in memory. So with the 64-bit architecture, you can have quite a few cubes out there of data. We do have sizing recommendations, and you can look at it in our architecture book. We do have sizing, not limitations, but recommendations, because you can continue to add memory to your server, but there's going to be a point where you may want to look at maybe having the cube available and on file and on disk, but not in memory. So if it needs to, it can swap out. So everything that you saw, a lot of it's based off of the model data, but it's actually put into cubes for performance purposes. Yep. I'll let you do that. What's on the flash drive again? I forgot. Let me put one in and I'll tell you. There's quite a few things they put on it when they sent it, so it changes occasionally. Okay, so in here we have, so there's collateral in here, and then there's videos. So specific to retail, associates and financial managers. And then we have a couple of videos in here. There's a Gucci demo. So we just had our World Conference, which is our end user conference in Vegas. And people like Gucci, Guess, Facebook, they all presented at World. We do have the full presentations that you can access via our website, but then we put some on here just to give you an idea of the different products that are being used and how they're being used. So Gucci has an app that they built. It's a loyalty program app, essentially. So you can walk into a store, and it can be built for an associate, it can be built for a customer, but you can walk into a store, they recognize you based on your mobile, and they can look up things that you purchased in the past, so they can look up purchase history. They can do that all live and access the data. They can also send you information about your loyalty program, and so you can have an entire app. It's called Alert, so it's another platform that we have available. And that's more of a loyalty program that we offer. So there's some videos on there that talk about that. And then we have Analytics Desktop. This is the one that you can install, that I mentioned, that you can install locally on your machine. It's our standalone tool, but it lets you do visual data discovery. So that visual insight is something that you'll have access to on your desktop. Yep. What you cannot do with this, some of the limitations is the ability to access data warehouse data. You would need to go to Express or to the platform to do that. Yeah, to install it. Yep. You can sign up for a free MicroStrategy Express account. So if you don't want to install anything on your desktop and you want to be able to use data and import data and build visualizations, that's another component that we offer. It's free that you can play around with, and it's called MicroStrategy Express. It's just paths to migrate to the platform, but it gives you a feel for using the visual data discovery tool. Yep. The Analytics Express is, yes. This one is just a local application that you can install, the desktop tool. Yep. So here's the difference between the classes that we talked about earlier. These are just intro classes. These are classes to get your feet wet, to give you an idea of what BI is, mobile is, building a business intelligence application. That is a class those are classes that we offer for free, and those are the day-long classes. We do have, if you're interested, let me know and I can send you. We do have education here at MicroStrategy, and there's classes by role. So if I were going to be, an architect, we have a 2-day class to learn architect. Then we have a 3rd day to learn the advanced topics in architect. And then there's additional classes that you can take. So there's, a 2-day class on advanced data warehousing techniques. There's another one on high-performance BI, a 2-day class on that. So it really depends on what role you're going to be taking. As an IT professional, you'll most likely be developing an admin. So you'd probably want to look at the architect side along with the administrative side. For your end users who are going to be building reports and documents, that's something that you may want to see but don't have to know completely. We do have a 2-day overview that you can go through. And then if you want your users to take classes, it depends on how many users you have. They can individually take the class based on the role, if they're going to be a document developer or a report developer. And then they kind of branch off from there. You'll see where people fit eventually. But yeah, they're all on our website under the educational portal. So if you go to our website and I believe it's just under education. Yeah. So in here we have, you can search for classes. I do have a spreadsheet, so if you are interested in a spreadsheet, let me know. Let me put my, but in here there's services and support, training and events. So here's the training link. We do offer free classes, you just have to register. So there are some other free classes that you can take, self-paced, web online content that you can go through. But if you do want specific training, then I do recommend, taking, we have distance learning classes and we have on-site classes as well. So any other questions? Okay, sure. What is it that you're specifically looking to do?
Well,
Are you referring to actually accessing the models and things that they have within Microsoft? Yeah. So I would have to look into it a little bit further, but the only thing that we do have is off the top of my head is just the integration using the portals. And if you're looking to get to the data, we can get to the raw data within projects. But there's nothing that I know of. We can bring in the R models, but not any of the additional ones. I don't know. I have to take a look at what they have in there.
your dashboard would be very beneficial to see manpower loaded, if you will.
Yeah, let me get back to you on that if you want to grab me and just email me, and I'll be able to find out a little bit more about the Microsoft side. But all right, well, thank you for your time, everyone. If you do have any questions, either, I don't think I have it up there. I did have it up there. He took it out. I'll just put, I did have it up there, I swear. I'll just put my email up here. So this is my my email. I don't know if you can see that well. If I cover it, can you see it? If you do have any additional follow-up questions for just the side of the technical requirements or anything that any questions that you have, if you want to get in touch with Matt, I have some business cards up here for him as well. So if you want to schedule something, maybe a demo or an on-site meeting, or just talk a little bit more about it, feel free to contact Matt as well. I can put his email up here, so he'll be very happy about that too. So if you do have any questions, feel free to shoot us an email. If you do want a card, we do have business cards up here. And if you didn't get a flash drive or a notebook, let me know. So thank you, guys.